This recording is to help you with lesson 1.05, inverse functions. To begin, let's look at this picture right here. To do the graph, the utility graph both f and f inverse. So basically you're just going to have y equals the square root of x, and then we have to find out the inverse. So to find the inverse, originally we have y equals the square root of x. Let's switch around the x and the y values. So if x equals square root y. Now we're going to solve for y. So I'm going to square both sides to get rid of that square root, and I get y equals x squared. So this is going to be the second function that I put into my calculator. All right. When I graph those, I notice I get a graph that looks something like this. Now what these graphs are is they're actually reflections of each other. But what are they reflecting over? They're reflecting over that line y equals x. All right, next, let's determine whether the function has an inverse. So here we are given y equals x plus 3 squared. So I'm just going to rewrite this. All right, let's switch around the x and the y value. And let's work on solving for y. So it has a squared. Let's get rid of the squared first. We have to take the square root of both sides. Then I want to subtract 2. Oopsie, I mean subtract 3. I had a typo. That should be plus 3 here. Okay, subtract 3 from both sides. So I get y equals the square root of x minus 3. So this is a function of x, so f does have an inverse. So let's test this one out. So y equals square root of 2x plus 3. Let's switch them around here. X equals square root of 2y plus 3. I want to start by getting rid of the square root, so I'm going to square both sides. I'm then going to subtract 3. And then divide by 2. I now solve for y. That is a function right here, so f does have an inverse. All right, for this one, notice that they want f inverse of g inverse of 1. So let's find the inverses first, and then we'll do f of g, and then we'll plug in 1. So f of x is 1/8x minus 3. So let's start by finding that inverse. So I would add 3. So x plus 3 and then multiply by 8. So that's how they did right here. They get 8 times x plus 3. And then let's find g inverse. So we're starting with x cubed. So if we switch things around, you would have the cubed root of x, which is what we get right here. So now let's actually work on finding f inverse of g inverse. So we are going to, remember, we're going to stick g inverse into f. So right here is my x. So I'm going to plug in that cubed root of x right there. So I get 8. And then there's my x. So in here is going to be the cubed root. And now let's plug in 1 because that's what we're trying to find. So we're going to plug 1 in for x. Okay, so the cubed root of 1 is just 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 8 times 4 is 32. And the last one, we're actually going to do f of g first, and then we're going to take that inverse. So f of g, g is going into f. So this is going in right here. So I'm going to get a 2x minus 5 plus 4. So that looks to be like a 2x minus 1. Okay, so if I have f of g equals 2x minus 1, let's find that inverse. So let's start by switching around the x and the y, and then solving for y. So let's add 1, and then divide by 2. So we get x plus 1 all over 2.